Shalom and good day, everyone. I first want to give honors to our Father in heaven, Yahuwah, for he is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and also giving honors unto his Son, who is Yahusha HaMashiach, for he is the second Adam. He is the left, which is the door, the sheep, and he is the iron, which means he is the eye, / light of the body, as well as he is the fountain of the living waters. Thank you, Father. And also, we want to give respects unto our mother. Yes, we have a mother. What's done in heaven is also done in earth. It is the spirit of wisdom, for she is our mother that our Father has given unto us. As Yahushua HaMashiach has said about her, that wisdom shall be justified by her children, meaning that she is not made in vain. She was made in the beginning with the living word. So she shall bring forth, for she shall birth the children of the light. Shalom, everyone. I'm so happy to come back here this evening to go over you with the end of the year totals. Now, if you're new and this your first time hearing this, it is very important that you start keeping records of the Most High calendar. If you don't, you're not going to understand what the prophets are writing unto you, such as Enoch, um, Ezekiel, Isaiah, and also what Moshe wrote in those books too, such as Jubilees and Torah. Also, with the work of Josephus, will confirm many of the things that has been written by the ancient prophets. Because once you start putting these things on paper, you begin to see how it's so important for us to go out and to observe the two witnesses that the Father has given to us. And the two witnesses that I'm talking about is the heavens and the earth. For when you are under the Spirit of God, which is the living word, who is the comforter that should teach you all things come by the Spirit, and all things only given through the Spirit, and through him shall he give you understanding of the Most High calendar, which are made up of three lights, which are the sun, the moon, and Mazzaroth, which forms one calendar. That's a mystery about 3 = 1. And the channel talks about that as well. So through him, you will begin to see why it's so important to keep up with these numbers, because when you do that, it's simple math, y'all. It's not really hard math, but it's very simple math for those who want to learn it. You will begin to understand, especially what Enoch is saying unto us, dealing with the epoch and dealing with the 358 cycle and etc. Because you begin to learn where the heathens got their knowledge, but they didn't understand it quite well, and they didn't understand it correctly. And we can see evidence of that in the fourth beast calendar, known as the Gregorian calendar, which is the Romans calendar, which comes from Satan. Okay? Remember, we're in the fourth beast. We are in the fourth beast kingdom. And as Daniel prophesies unto us, that he will change the laws in time. The living word tell you what calendar you should follow. Again, Satan has deceived the whole world, and many are following the wrong things. Only through the living word can he show you all truth. So now let us begin. As you see in this photo, it is say reflecting on the past year. Again, it's very important for you to keep records and also keep records of others' calendar, because as I shared with y'all before, a lot of people not being honest with you, a lot of people not telling the truth. I have seen error in the 364-day calendar keepers, and I have seen errors in those who only follow the moon, and I have seen errors in those who only follow the dark moon, and etc. Because there's many different types of calendars out here. But when you start to put this stuff on paper, it begins to reveal a lot of things. So now let us begin. As I said unto you, I will come back on here and give y'all the year in totals, which is so important. And where we get this number from, y'all, it comes from your calendar record. Okay, this is why it is so important. I cannot stress this unto y'all, that you keep a calendar record, that you write these things down, because you never know when you have to go back and reflect on it or pull some information to understand the biblical prophecies that's given unto us. Okay, and y'all, it is so refreshing to see the Father to bring us in his new year. It is so refreshing that we're not following the ways of the heathen, that we are understanding our Father's way. You know, His thoughts is different from our thoughts, and His ways are different from our ways, and it's so good to understand Him and why He does what He does. Okay, so where I got these numbers, as you see, I went back in my calendar records. I know the calendar's blown up, so this bear with me. And we have to wait to each month close out. So we had to wait patiently until the 12th month close out completely, and you'll see why. Okay, so in the moon report, I don't think I did give the totals for the 12th month. So let me give you the totals for the 12th month. So as most of you know, most of us was able to see the new moon on the heathen day known as Saturday. In the Latin tongue, they said Saturnine day. Oh, it was on the heathen date known as April the 2nd at sundown. However, from numerous reports from Israel, they was not able to see the new moon, though it was very clouded for them. So therefore that day became the 30th day for them by default. So if they followed that method, then their beginning of the year would start on April the 3rd at sundown. Okay. But for us who are the children of light, who follow Yahuwah's ways, we are going by April the 2nd at sundown. Okay. Also, there is a brother over there in Israel who was able to sight the new moon, and that was Brother Hashua. So on this same link that you seeing before you now, on the top of this calendar record, there's many links for you to click on except for one. One is for my use only. But click on the link dealing with moon sighting photos, and you will see Brother Hashua photo sighting of the new moon on April the 2nd at sundown. Okay, so he was very lucky to get a picture of that. However, throughout the world, we was able to see in majority of the lands that's upon the earth. Some of us still was dealing with cloudiness, but however, all praises to Yah. He caused some areas to be clear where we can verify that that's when the moon was visible upon the earth to see. So we can begin his new year. So the 12th month will have a total of 30 days. Okay. So the 30th day date on the heathen's day is April the 1st at sundown to April the 2nd at sundown. Now the date of the sun is this the sun's first month and 13th day. Very important because you got to carry these numbers over into your new year calendar. Okay. So it's very important that you know what's the date of your sun and what's the date of your moon in your new year calendar. So the date of the sun again is the sun's first month and 13th day. Okay. And these two dates that you see here in my cursor is fell on the moon's 30th day. So Adar will have 30 days this year. Okay. So we'll go to the summary sheet, but let me go ahead and give this to you anyway. So again, Israel will have a total of 30 days by default because they couldn't see the moon. Brother Hashur and us who are following Brother Hashur and YAHUAH's calendar, we will have 30 days. Okay. For I'm sorry, Hashur will have 29 days and we will have 30 days. And you'll see why. You have to go back and see when was Hashur's last date of his moon sighting from the previous month. So that's why that day varies a little bit. Okay. Now, as far as the total number of days that the sons have in this 12th month, we have 29 days. Now, I know most of y'all are saying, well, that's not correct because we know what Enoch's writings say about the sun. You're supposed to have that 30, 30, 31. But those who are actually watching, going out in the heavens and observing, we are noticing that that pattern is no longer there. Okay. We are noticing that Father is giving us more days in the spring and summer to do our work, and we're seeing lesser days in winter, which is good because winter is very harsh. Can't do much in winter. We have to wait till things get a little warmer. So we're seeing that the days of winter are being shortened, but the days of spring and summer are being longer for those who are observing. Okay. However, at the end of the year, it would add up to what Enoch has written in his second book of writings. You would come out to 365 or 366. However, it would still not be the same as the heathens. When you start, keeping your record and you look at your grand total for the end of the year, you will often see that the heathens will have a different total from us. Okay? So that takes care of that. And remember, in Aviv, Aviv is the month known as the former rains. That's why you see me put this row right here highlighted in blue with arrows, let us know we're still in the season of rain. So Aviv is the month of your not former rains, of your latter rains. So that is the month of the last rains. And it makes sense because when you study the Most High calendar, it goes in hand with agriculture. So we definitely want those rains for the crops. So from this point, what we're going to do, we're going to start with, as we looking back of the year of 2021 to 2022, we're going to go to the end of the year summary report sheet. So we're going to go there. Now I know I have a lot of things on this report sheet, so bear with me when you open it up. I am thinking about making some minor changes, but the most important part I want you to come to, I have to give my computer a second. Okay, here we go. I want to go up just a little bit more so you can see. So when you click on that link, I have a lot of information above the chart we're going to look at. And again, I'm the type, I like to keep record of other people's records, okay? Because again, we're not getting people to come out and being honest of what they have seen, what they have observed. They just pushing a certain doctrine down your throat, and they're not being honest with their numbers. You know what I'm saying? It's just a lot of things that I have observed. But when you start keeping record and you start allowing the Father to teach you, He will guide you on the right path. Okay, so this is why you see me have this information here, because a lot of people don't believe in the 13th month, even though the heavens show you there is a 13th month. Okay, it's just that simple. But it is what it is. Just like they did back then, they didn't believe the prophets back then. They didn't follow the prophets' writings or follow the prophets' instructions, for they are the mouthpiece of Yah. They're doing it again today. So after you scroll past that, this is very important. I notice Time and Date has started doing this now. Is giving you the actual number of days and time of each season. And that's very good to have so you can compare to what you're getting. This is another tool to use. But as you see what I'm talking about, if you notice, spring and summer has more days, but when we start getting towards the end of the year, winter will have fewer days. Okay. Also, I list here the equinoxes, and this is based on Arad Israel for the years that we are looking at. So that's something you can look at. And also, I do give the links for you to click on to actually go to that site. Okay, and this is just another chart that's blown up here. And this is another tool I use. I look at tropical year. If you don't understand what tropical year is, there's many videos on the channel that talks about tropical year. Okay, but tropical year looks at the actual sun circuit. Now, notice what I'm saying. It actually look at the actual sun circuit, looking at how the sun completes its year. That's what Tekrafar is really in relation to when you read about it in the Bible and you look at the Hebrew translation. For the sun years and begin and end, when we get to the I'm gonna make sure I got the right one. I think it's the seventh sign or the sixth sign of Mazzaroth, but the channel explains all that, looking at the years in. Okay, so here is giving us the actual breakdown or the accuracy of how many days, hours, minutes, and second is in that sun's circuit or in that sun's year or in that time it takes the sun to complete in a revolution or in a circular pattern. Okay, and it looks at the dates from March to March. Why it go by from equinox to equinox? Remember, the day after your equinox is beginning of the year, and the last day is your equinox day. That's how you know when the sun year is beginning in. But we're looking at from March to 2021 to March to 2022, and this is where I got that number from. Okay. Now, this is the part you want to get to. As you see in the chart, it is titled Yahuwah's Calendar Yearly Totals. Yahuwah's Calendar Yearly Total. You will see the date of this sheet is for the year of 2021 to 2022, and this year will only have 12 months. Okay. It also lists the other dates when the moon had 13 months. Okay. And it lists the number of years we are counting towards Jubilee as well as Shemitah. Remember, Shemitah is the 49th year and Jubilee is the 50th year. Now, when you get to this session here, dealing with Enoch chapter 78 and chapter 80, okay, when we look at this that pertain to Yahuwah prophetic messages, we want to look at what was the date when we saw that new moon crescent from the year of 2021 and the date in the year of 2022. It's very important. It's because we want to look at the date of what the Jewish people got, what Brother Yahusha got, and what we also have. Okay? And when we do that, we will see what is the total number of days we should have gotten for that year when you are comparing your numbers to make sure everything was added correctly and to make sure you didn't leave out any days on your calendar. So for what we got this year, we have a total of 354 days for the moon. Also, Brother Hashur, that's what he has in his year as well. But for Israel, they have 385 days because this is the year they have decided to add a 13th month. Remember, they don't follow the 358 rule. This 13th month they are adding will be, I think it's going to fall as their 6th year of doing this in their 6th year. So those who keep a record of this will see what I'm talking about. All right. So the next column we'll look at, this is giving you the date of the equinox for the year of 2021 and the date of the equinox of the spring equinox for the year of 2022. And it's just showing you another way how you would calculate this. And you know me, I'm always creating formulas to make things simple and easy. But another thing you need to be aware of is when the heathens have their leap year. You have to keep up with that information if you're doing this by hand and not use some type of tool calculator to help you. Now, one thing the father had to correct me because I had to go back and y'all, I realized that was a mistake and forgive me. But I had to make sure that when I look at the date for the equinox, like when it began and when it ended, I had to do it the Hebrew way because remember we do things from sundown to sundown. So whatever time that sun entered into the sign of Mazzaroth, I had to determine what was the date it fell on the heathen days because you know our days overlap into their days. Okay, so this is what this part is showing you here. For example, in the year of 2021, the spring equinox fell on March the 20th and it entered into the first sign of Mazzaroth at 11:37 a.m. in Israel Standard Time. That's very important to know that. So now that I know that it has done that at that time, it is before sundown. Therefore, the first day of spring would start on what? The next day. So it would start on March the 20th at sundown to March the 21st at sundown. That is the first day of spring. Now the last day of um that sun year of 2021 we end on March the 19th at sundown to March the 20th. So it's very important to know this time when that sun entered to that sign. So you know what day it falls on Yahuwah's day and what day it falls on the heathen's day. I know I may say that kind of quickly or fast, but this takes some time to meditate on what I'm saying. You got to know the date and time when the sun is doing this. Okay, so now we're going to scroll on down because throughout the year I had told you about each quarter, like the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and that's on the channel. So now we're going to the fourth quarter. You know, 4 quarters equals what? $1, right? One. Okay, so in the fourth quarter, we're looking at the 10th, the 11th, and the 12th month of the moon and the sun. Okay, so in this quarter, I didn't, and I'm always gonna go back, y'all. Always go back behind me too. But for myself, I'll be going back behind myself. But I look for if we had any blood moons, solar eclipses, super moons, micro moons, or partial eclipse. And in this quarter, we did not. Okay, so first we're gonna talk about the moon. Okay, and also, let me go ahead and get this part away. In the side notes, I write down important things like when the new moon crescent was seen, who was able to see it, and when they was able to see it. And if they did not see it, I make note of that because I'm telling y'all, when you try to go back several years and try to remember why you wrote down what you wrote down, you forget. So it's very important to be very detailed in your notes. Okay. So now let's look at the moon. In the moon's 10th month, it had a total of 30 days. In the 11th month, 29 days, and in its 12th month, 30 days for us. So this is how I got the total of 89 for that quarter. Now for Israel, again, I'm aware that they have 13 months, but when we look at their months from the 10th to the 12th month, in the 10th month they had 29 days, and in the 11th month they had 30 days, and in the 10th month, I have to go up higher, they had 30 days. So when I add all that up, I got 89 days. For Brother Hashur, in his 10th month, he had 29. In the 11th month, he had 29. And in his 12th month, he had 29. So I got a total of 87 days for him in the fourth quarter. So when you go down each column, okay, for us, we got a total of for YAHUAH's calendar, we got a total of 354 days. For Israel this year, they will have a total of 355 days. And for Brother Hashur, he will have a total in his calendar 354 days. Now, this column here that's titled actual means is looking at the actual timing. Unfortunately, we're not able to get the exact timing when the crescent is seen. Okay, so I had to use the time and date information, but they base their information off of the dark moon. However, it's just to give us an estimate to see what's the exact timing of this moon circuit. So for this year, for this quarter, I got 88 days, 11 hours, and 51 minutes. And when I add it to the rest of the numbers, okay, because let me say, as you see what I'm doing here, I'm adding to the third quarter total, okay. When I add it to that, I get a total of 354 days, 2 hours, and 55 minutes. So to kind of give me an idea, what's the amount of time in that moon circuit for that year. And that completes the moon. Now for Israel, because they had a 13th month, their 13th month had a total of 30 days. So this is how I get 385 for them. A total of 385 for them for this year, for that year of 2021 to 2022. Now, you're going to see why it's so important to know these numbers. Okay, it's another sheet we have to go to. But let us also complete the sun, because you got to have the sun information too in order to do the next set of calculations. So dealing with the sun, we always look at what the heathens does, because as you see, they do things backwards. It does not line up with the living word. So when you add up their number of days of what they consider to be the beginning and the end of their year, they got 365. But as you see, they are still way ahead of us, because in our 12th month, they will start in their first month. Okay, I'm sorry. In our 12th month, they was in their second month. It's something like, well, anyway, y'all know what I'm trying to say. It's so confusing. I have to like write it out to see where our month started in comparison where they at in their month. So we started in April for our new year. So they're in their fourth month. So they're like almost 4 months ahead of us. Okay, do you see how backwards they are? Anyway, so from January to December, they had a total of 365 days. Okay, so they're already ahead of us by 4 months. Okay, so by 4 months, let's see, 31, 28, you got 31 and a few days in April. So we're looking at about 90 days. They're about 90 days ahead of us. All right. Now, dealing with the sun astral circuit, those who are actually following Genesis chapter 1, verse 14, when we're looking at the sun, in this 10th month, it had 29 days. In this 11th month, it had 30 days. And in this 12th month, it had 29 days. So I got a total of 88 days for the fourth quarter. So when I added to the third quarter numbers, what I got from here, from this row, I got a total of 365 days. And I noticed that is correct, y'all, because when I put my dates in of when the sun year started to when the sun year ended based on the equinox date, I still came out with 365. Now there's a reason why this number is highlighted in red, and we'll talk about that in the next sheet because again, those who are watching as Messiah instruct us, you will notice that the sun didn't do something it was supposed to do for this year. Another sign is manifested unto us. And we'll talk more about that as we get into this video. Okay. Now, when we look at the actual timing of the sun, for the fourth quarter, the actual timing of the sun for its circuit was 88 days, 23 hours, and 34 minutes. So that's for the fourth quarter. Now, when I add that to the third quarter numbers, I would get a total of 365 days, 7 hours, and 56 minutes. And this is so important to look at because whatever sources you are using to get your tropical date or to get your dates from when the sun entering each sign of Mazzaroth. And remember, Mazzaroth is the Hebrew word for 12 signs, not 13 signs, but 12 signs. You will see why. Because when you compare it to time and date, and remember that they don't follow everything by Enoch, they just give you the exact timing of the sun. They're not aware about the fourth rule. Okay. But it's something just to compare. So when I compare to time and date number, time and date got in their tropical year 365 days, 5 hours, 55 minutes, and 54 seconds. I come pretty close, y'all. Because if I would round up my seconds to the minutes, you would get about 56. Now for the hours, I'm 2 hours ahead. So I thought that was pretty good for this year that my margin is coming in very close to theirs. Okay. Also, if you notice in the quarter of winter, my calculation matches up to time and date. So they also got 88 days, 23 hours, and 34 minutes for the winter season. So I thought that was amazing too for this year. So now that I have my son's total, the heathens in their year from January to December will have 365 days. For us, we would have 365, but I'm going ahead and tell you this right now. We were supposed to have 366. Again, there's a reason for it. And what I have decided to do, according to Father Will, I would have to come back to you once I get the answer from him or the confirmation why this is so. However, I have put together a chart, so I want you to look at with me now before we go to the last calculations. Okay. So for us, for this year, for the sun, we got 365, and I checked the math, y'all, several times. Far as the actual time of the sun, based on the resources I use, I got 365, 7 hours, 365 days, 7 hours, and 56 minutes. So let us go to the chart I had just put together for us. Let me let it refresh because it's going to take a while to pull up. I'll give it a few minutes. While I'm giving that a few minutes, Let us scroll down while I'm waiting on that to come up. As you scroll down, like I said, there's some very important links, and it also shows you the missing 10 days. See what the heathens do and see why their calendar can no longer give you the Sabbath day. This is facts, not opinion. The heathens really messed up a lot of stuff. Okay, so that is on that sheet for you too. But here's a chart giving us the year. And I want y'all to remember, like I say, it's so good. It's so important to write down notes. Remember, y'all, in the year of 2020 to 2021, that Rome saw the waning blood moon. This moon was decreasing in light. She was half, and but yet she was blood red. And for those who study the heaven, we know that's not possible because the moon has to be aligned in a certain alignment for that to happen. Oh, yeah. But it happened anyway because all things are possible for Yah. And during this year, they were shaking in their boots. Again, remember Genesis 1:14. These lights are sending a message unto us, and only the children of Yah will understand the message. So as we are coming to the year of 2022 to 2023, you need to keep up with your Adamic year. So for Beta Israel, this year it'll be 7,094. Okay? For this coming year. For the Jewish, in the 7th month, it would be 5,783. For Brother Hashur, it would be in the 7th month, 7,522. And for myself, what I have so far this year, it would be 7,490. Okay, in the new year. But this road that you see for the year of 2021 to 2022, that is the Adamic year. It's very important that you know that because it's dealing with the 7-day prophecy. It's also dealing with Enoch's 10-week prophecy because again, the Messiah told us in Matthew 24, we would know the season. We would know the timing, okay, of certain things. That we won't know the day and hour of his actual coming, but we will know that we're how close we are. That's why it's so important to know. So, like I said, this information, she has a lot of good information up here, records, proof to show you everything I have been sharing with you throughout the year. Now, let me see if this sheet is up. Okay, here we go. So, what I did, I had to go back to make sure what I was getting for the sun, y'all. And I'm going ahead and let me see. I'm going to take this part out for right now. Let me take this part out. I had to go back and make sure I did it correctly, and I did. And y'all, it threw me for a loop. Okay. I even went back to 1997. What I did is I looked at every fourth year and I went back and made sure if it's supposed to have 366 days. So, what I have noticed for the year of 2021 to 2022, that the sun will only have 365. And the reason is when you look at the timing of this, when you look at when the sun entered into the first sign of Mazzaroth that the heathens call Aries, it happened at 5:33 p.m. and that is before sunset. Sunset on that day, which was March the 20th, was at 5:50 p.m. Israel Standard Time. So because this happened before sunset, all right, this is why it would fall on March the 19th to March the 20th as being the last day of the year. So when you calculate the number of days from March the 20th of the year of 2021 to March the 19th of the year of 2022, you only get 365 days. So the projected date when you will have 366 will fall in the year of 2022 to 2023. Okay. So when I subtract my difference, instead of this being the fourth year, you're going to have in the sun's fifth year. I want to say this again. You're going to have in the sun's fifth year to be 366 days. I know it's blowing your mind right now because we know what Enoch had told us. However, Do not jump the gun like I'm going to do. I'm going to seek the Father in this matter because I have a feeling it's deal with something I read before, but I want to go back and check on it to make sure. Okay? So we're going to wait for the Father to give us an answer on why the Son is doing this. Okay. I also went ahead in the upcoming years just to make sure I did everything right. Because if I add 4 years to the year of 2021 to 2022, we will land in the year of 2025 to 2026. Okay. And when I did the calculation on how many days would that sun have in this circuit on based on projection, it is showing me 365 for the in that fourth year from that that year that I added to. So I went a step further. When you add 5 years to 2021 to 2022, you get what? 5 plus 21, you get in the year of 2026. 5 plus 23, you would get, oh, I'm sorry. I'm, okay, yeah, I'm looking at my eyes are jumping, y'all. Forgive me. When you add 5 to 2022, you get 2027. Okay. So when I check this year projection, when I check that year projection, forgive me, y'all, I got 366. So for some reason, this sun is doing this. Okay. But we'll check more on it. That is something, to think about, to pray and meditate on so we can go to our Father and ask Him, why is this son doing this? When the rules say what? Every 4 years. So why is it doing this? Okay. Let me close this out now. All right. Now for the last sheet. For those who have read Enoch's writings, we have learned that we are also supposed to keep up with the lunar epoch. Okay. Or the epoch, EPACT. The purpose of that is to give you the date when we should see the new moon. And this is very important because, especially what's happening now, a lot of us cannot see the new moon due to the cloudiness. So, how do you know if you have the correct new moon date? And also in this upcoming year, for those who have been looking at the moon phases for Aviv, you may notice that your full moon day may not fall on your Peshat day. I tell y'all, those who are watching, we are picking these things up. Now we understand why that is happening because Enoch's talk about that in his writings. Okay. But you will learn from the Israelite writings and history that we always have a full moon day to fall on your Passover day, which is the V14th, and for your Feast of Tabernacles, which is on Ethanim, the 15th day. Okay, so when we see this moon not doing what it's supposed to do, again, that is a sign unto us. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to calculate your lunar epoch because it's going to give you your new moon date. And this is why I was telling y'all, you have to get these numbers from your calendar record or from your year summary sheet, like the one that I did. So either two sources will do. You just need to know your grand totals. And you have to keep up with your bank of days. Because remember, when the moon or when the heavens is producing a 13th month, it's giving us a bank of days for the moon to have so she can align herself up with the sun. So the Father holy days and holy feast days will fall in the correct seasons, such as Passover will fall in spring, and your feast of and the feast of tabernacles will fall in fall. So this is why it's so important to keep up with those bank of days, and you'll see why as we do our math calculation. So when we look at the year of 2021, we had a bank of days carried over from last year and the other prior years as you go back on that sheet. Okay, so we had a bank of days we had to carry over. Remember, the bank of days come from your 13th moon. These are extra days that the moon give her unto herself to stay in alignment with the sun and Mazzaroth. Okay, and the reason is again, so that way the Most High holy feast days and holy days would fall in the correct seasons. Also, remember what Ezra wrote unto us, or the high priest Ezra wrote unto us, that the moon declared the decoration of times. In other words, she give us the date. For she is the beauty of heaven. Hallelujah. What mysteries that I speak unto y'all. So notice that this is the 4th year of the sun. When you're doing it every 4 years. Okay. So as we said before, in the year of 2021 to 2022, excuse my tongue, y'all, the sun had a total of 365 days. And the moon had a total of 354 days. So to figure out your lunar epoch, you have to subtract your days of the sun from the days of the moon. And when we do that, we notice that the moon this year was short 11 days, meaning that it started 11 days earlier than the sun year. Okay? Because the moon circuit is shorter than the sun. All right? So when it did that, remember, we had a bank of days we have on reserve to give to the moon to keep her in a line with the sun, right? So our bank of days was 25. So we have to subtract 11 days from 25, okay? So we will have a surplus or a bank of 14 days to carry over the next year, okay? Because what this is doing is keeping the moon in check with the sun. That's what it's basically doing, y'all. So by knowing this is why it's so important by doing this step. So we have a surplus of 14 days. So there's a surplus of the 14 days in the moon circuit now. And by knowing this, how you figure out your new moon day, you have to add it to the sun's last day of its year. Okay? So you got to know your equinox date. Your equinox date or your spring equinox date is the sun's last day in this year. All right? So when you add either what it is, when you add the plus 14 days to your last day of your son's year, you would get your new moon date. Okay? And when I did that, remember I told you about your equinox date. You got to have the date and time when the sun entered in Mazzaroth to know what day is going to fall on the heathen day. So even though it's March the 20th, it could have happened before sundown. So this is why you see me having here March the 19th, okay? Because that's when the last day of the sun's year began. The last day. So it began on March the 19th. So when you add 14 days, you would get April the 2nd, year of 2020. Now you know me. I have a chart here to help you see how I got what I got. So we all are aware that most of us seen the new moon on April the 2nd, right? Which was the heathen day, Saturday at sundown. So how we know we did this correctly? Because like I say, do you see how the math is just lining up with what the Father had? Okay, so let's count. So we have already said, this is the year of 2020, that the last day of the sun year began on March the 19th and it would end on March the 20th because the sun entered into the first sign of Mazzaroth, which was Aries. It entered into it before sundown. Okay, so we are adding now 14 days to 19. So after March the 19th, we are to count 14 days. So March the 20th will be 1 day. March 21st will be your second day. So let's continue to count. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Then we're going to April. So April 1st will be your 13th day. And April the 2nd will be your new moon day. I'm looking at something. Yeah, they got the days of the week different in this calendar. And I got the right year. Because we know April the 2nd falls on Saturday. This is a mess, ain't it, y'all? But I'm glad I caught it on this video. However, it still line up to the correct date, which is April the 2nd. Because now that I'm doing this video, it's 8:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or Eastern Daylight Standard Time on April the 5th in the year of 2020, and that falls on the heathen day, which is Tuesday. So 5-4-3-2. Yeah, the second will fall on a Saturday. However, as you see, it does not change the answer or the result. So if you count 14 days after March the 19th, you will get April the 2nd. Okay? Just before you count out and check behind me. So going back to this chart, this formula is giving us the new moon day. The new moon day by this formula is April the 2nd in the year of 2022. And did we not see it on April the 2nd? Because I know I went out on April the 1st and I didn't see no new moon. And I was checking everybody's results, they didn't see no new moon. But on the next day, even though I was not able to see it because of the clouds, on the next day, many others were able to see the new moon. So that's how we know this is correct. So Father is giving us confirmation through his mathematical formulas that he has given to the prophets. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Again, when the Father give it unto me in his due time or according to his will, I will be coming back unto you to expound on what the Son is doing this year. I mean, with what the Son is doing, because that's a very important sign for us to be paying attention to. I hope y'all enjoyed this video on reflecting on the past year, because as we walk from our past to enter into to be in the present so we can enter in our future, y'all, it's just amazing to see what Father Yah has done and what he is doing and what he will do. Something great to see. Remember, do not allow Satan to shift you in your faith, okay? Because this is a journey of faith, just like our father Abraham went on a journey. So said we shall go on a journey too. So don't let Satan shift you, all right? Don't let Satan shift your faith. Believe in Father Yah, be obedient, listen to his prophets that he has ordained and sent, okay? Listen to his prophets. Do not follow man, follow his spirit. Be obedient to Yah. All right, my brothers and sisters, continue to preach that the kingdom of heaven is at hand, for it's truly at hand. And make sure the people receive salvation as written in Romans chapter 10, and baptize the people in the name of Yahusha Mashiach. For the Lamb set the example of the water baptism and the Holy Spirit baptism, and his apostles continued them both. If you have no one to baptize y'all, if you have no one to baptize you, you can do it yourself. Father made it simple. For the water is the second witness in the earth, the heavens is a witness, and the earth is a witness also unto our Father. So when you do these things by your hand, whether it's in the bathroom, whether it's at a swimming pool, river, or lake, wherever there's water, ye can baptize thyself, for you are exercising your faith. Now, he also did the same with the Holy Spirit baptism. He made that easy too. For the living words say, all we have to do is ask our Father in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, and he shall give it unto you according to your heart, your faith, and your works. Love you all, and shalom.